If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Live at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Dozy Place on Government Street in Mid-City. Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Live at Lunch. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff, Jimmy Ott, Max Gotro. Jordan Kinch's back in the studio. Andy Isco with us from Las Vegas. We do first class, second class, no class on Tuesdays. NCAA tournament starting tonight. The first couple of games in the first four, and what's left of the NIT and the CBI. No, not the CBI, but the Crown tournament. All of that getting underway. But you know what else got underway today? Jimmy, good morning. You look like you've been up a while. did you and Hunt get up together this morning and meet up somewhere?
No, man, I can't.
And get into Dodgers Cubs on the first day of the Major League Baseball season. Got to be the earliest baseball.
Charlie, when you get
started.
as old as me, your sleep patterns take what you can get. Beggars can't be choosy.
So you didn't get up at 5:30 a.m. to make sure you
I didn't
pre-game for Dodgers Cubs?
No, I'm actually, if I was rolling over, I was listening to bracket breakdowns for my favorite shows and podcasts because baseball going to be here, man. It's going to be here for a while.
For a long time.
Okay,
Yes.
I can't rush into something that's going to be here for a long, long time with no basketball,
Right.
no football.
Yeah.
Got a little tennis in there even. You know what I mean? It's the dog days of summer, Charlie. The baseball. And listen, I'll be betting on Major League Baseball as much as anybody and watching, but can I enjoy March Madness?
Hey, I didn't get up either. Hunt called. I had a missed call from Hunt. He's throwing a little get together for the Cubs opener.
And
but yeah,
breakfast,
by like
coffee.
By like 8:30 this morning, he had already declared the season
Kids.
a loss. You know, it's it. Season's over.
Now, come on, Hunt's not like he's not
No,
reactionary
I'm
like that.
No,
you know that.
I'm kidding on all of that. But although he
Cubs
was up watching.
They're favored to win the they're favored to win the division.
Are they really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
St. Louis, an uncharacteristic
Rebuild.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a rebuild.
Milwaukee exceeded expectations last year, and they were great. They played the game. They played winning baseball, not statistically motivated baseball, and just did the little things. And, well, little things win, but then they lost a couple of big pieces, man. You know, Burns on the hill,
Yeah.
and then Amade's what's the hitter?
That guy. You're not in baseball mode.
Come on, man.
I get it. I was just giving you grief about getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to watch baseball
I get
from
up at
Japan.
5 every day, Charlie.
To watch to watch baseball in Japan.
No, I'm March Madness mode right now, dude. Where are we going to be tomorrow?
Beau Rivage.
What we got tonight? First four.
First four, yeah.
And how long does it last?
3 weeks.
3 weeks yesterday.
3 weeks from yesterday, yep.
Enjoy it.
I am.
Because it's gone. It's going to be gone.
I'm going to enjoy the whole thing. I just wanted to know if you
and
were watching baseball
and then
this
the
morning.
Cubs will be, in 3 weeks, will be what?
In last place?
3-3. The Dodgers will be
Yeah.
6-1 or something. You know, I mean,
this
it's going to be okay.
This is early to start baseball. We used to start
once
Cincinnati
upon
the
a
first week
time.
in April. But
once upon a time, we do the shows on Final Fours, and you have that you play the Final Four Saturday, and Sunday is kind of a recoup day, and then you have the women's Final Four, and then Monday night we start at 8:20 Central. We got all day, all night. It's opening day. That was to me, that was perfect.
Yeah.
That was opening day, and you had, I don't know, 8, 10 games and matinees and, kind of your lead up, your undercard to the national championship game. And I don't know what happened to that. So they keep creeping up earlier. I understand overseas. You want to try and you don't want to put it too close to the schedule because you don't want to tax the teams, with the travel any more than they're going to be. You want them, give them time to recover from their travel. I get it, but no, I am not in baseball mode right now.
Me neither. I was mostly giving
so
you a
bring
hard
this crap up.
I was mostly giving you a hard time. That was all just in case you
the Cubs are the Cubs, man. They're just
I'm not in any way worried about it. And
I was really excited. I thought they had things in place for a consistent run at 2 different stages, and that's with the Wood Pryor. I mean, those 2 guns. They stay healthy. I mean, that can carry you. Can it not? Those 2 guys, if they would have gone
a long way.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. And then the young team that broke through against the Indians and won it all. I mean, they had so many young pieces. Bryant and Schwarber and the shortstop.
Rizzo.
Rizzo, the middle infielder. I mean, just a lot of pieces, man. But,
no World Series champion has repeated since 2000 has even gone back to the World Series since 2009 when the Phillies went back, and nobody's won it back-to-back since 2000 when the Yankees did. So, like you said, we got a lot of time to talk about that, even though the Dodgers have a payroll that's about the size of the GDP of Panama. They're no lock to win it. But they did win this morning, in case you weren't up 4-1 over the Cubs. We do have first 4. This starts at 5:40. This is the time of the year where however you access your basketball viewing, you go find out where True TV is. That's St. Francis in Alabama State. But
what channel is it on DirecTV?
True, I have no idea. I don't have DirecTV, so you're gonna have to find that one. But
what's it on Cox?
True TV is like 50-something, 51, yeah. But in the North Carolina San Diego State game, which is the far more interesting game, is that one too. Does it
246 on DirecTV?
Okay.
What is it on Cox?
51.
51?
I think it's 51.
51.
This is where we get reintroduced to that the blooper show.
Practical Joke?
Yeah, Practical Joke. Okay.
I used to like the one about the tow truck, where the guy with the tow truck would go around and pick up cars.
Lizard Lick Towing? Was that it?
Lizard Lick, yes. Lizard Lick Towing. Truly ridiculous
I actually
show.
watched True
Max,
TV.
No. It was a guilty pleasure for a little while there.
Max, we got to get you out, boy.
These 2 yo-yos. Does it justify anything if North Carolina wins tonight?
No. I mean, I've never felt strongly both ways about something. I had them definitely in, and I had them definitely. It was just crazy. Now listen, the beating up on the it's an easy target, the North Carolina AD, just the dog and pony show about putting him. Just say it. I mean, what is the worst quad 1 record to win? To get an at-large berth? I mean, can it not ask is that not? Everybody knows it. It's 1 in 12. You created this quadrant system. I mean, has there ever been? I mean, we ask if they got a 67 NET, we're going to ask them, or RPI back in the day.
Right.
Are we not?
Yes.
What's wrong with asking that question? Okay, there were just 2 different guys. One guy was white, one guy was black. All right, the white guy was the NC, the other guy was a co-chair or something or whatever. And so he was fielding all the questions about North Carolina when CBS was asking him. Okay, dude, could you talk about the 1 in 12, getting in despite a 1 in 12, quad 1 record? What's second worst? Because it's got to be worst. It has to be to get it at large.
I'm sure it's of teams that have gotten more than. I mean, there have been teams that haven't No, I can't even say that. I was going to say there have been teams that haven't had a Q1 win that get in the tournament, but those are all automatic qualifiers, so no.
How many times do we see the team that's not supposed to get in win a couple of games? Often,
yeah.
Enough.
And does that prove that they should have been in?
No,
or if they lose, they should have been out.
What's part of playing the first four? It's you got your jitters in that first game. Why has there never been a year where one of the first fours didn't win against that 6 seed? Because you're getting in rhythm. You're getting those jitters off your back, the sterile type of environment. I think it's something to be said with, like, we're lucky to be here. Let's roll.
Absolutely.
Play with the house's money.
Money.
How many times and how many? No, it does. Charlie, they're good enough to be in a tournament to be respectable, but they're not deserving.
And that's my point. Even if they win tonight, even if they win on Friday, it still doesn't take away from this. And if they lose, it doesn't prove, well, they shouldn't have been in. I hate when they get in the prediction business. That's why some of these metrics, these predictable metrics, no. It should never be on what they think you're going to do. It should be on what you have done, what you know versus what you think.
So here's the but do we apply the same philosophy and stance when it's the football tournament? When to say, hey man, no, this team is going to be able to play. For instance, Alabama got in ahead of Florida State. Mm-hmm. They gave Michigan way more of a game than Florida State. I mean, 99% sure, right?
And extenuating circumstances because Daniels was out.
Yeah, the quarterback's down. Yeah, I mean, and we saw a couple of games.
Jordan Travis.
We saw a couple of quarter games with the backup. Okay,
right.
But does that make it right? But I mean, somewhere along the way, the football became the best teams, right?
Well, if who was the top SEC team not to make it was who? Was it Alabama? Was the highest ranked team that didn't make it?
It was Alabama, Ole Miss, and man, they were all jumbled together.
Okay. The three
were all jumbled together.
Would have all been favored against SMU.
Oh yeah,
would have all been.
SMU's automatic. No, it's not. It's not. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yes.
So that was more of a deserving than what we think. We think that Ole Miss would have beaten SMU, but we don't know that.
No. I'm with you on that one. But here's the thing. So North Carolina gets in because they're as blue blood as it gets. They are going to generate some ratings, right? Okay. The Big West, or is the West Coast? I'm getting good with UC San Diego and Irvine. It's a Big West.
Big West. Yeah.
Okay, the Big West. If the Tritons lose, UC San Diego loses. It's a pretty big argument between UC San Diego and North Carolina, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're following so far. Mm-hmm. All right. Guess what? Every sports book, because handle and ratings are correlated. Man, almost every time. Troy Macker said yesterday, the number one public team of the 64 games we got. I mean, of the 32 games we got, or 36, I guess, is Michigan's number one, and UC San Diego's the number two bet team. They're betting that game like crazy. Every other, they said it's unbelievable. We get action. We get a great two-way action on all this. So aren't eyeballs going to go watch this obscure team? They're betting on them.
If
the handle is always correlated with a viewership, and so that's kind of funny. We would have maybe chosen North Carolina when, in fact, you might have just as many eyeballs or a big chunk of eyeballs, even more, maybe a little less, but a considerable amount of eyeballs are going to be on Michigan, UC San Diego.
And that UC San Diego team's net is the same as North Carolina. They're 35 and 36. They're basically on top of each other. So you don't even have the net is supposed to equalize a little bit of the conference, how you comparing apples to oranges here. The ACC, or what the ACC used to be, versus the Big West. It's supposed that NET is supposed to equalize that a little bit. If it did its job, these two teams are basically the same. So we'll see. You like North Carolina tonight? with all that said,
It's what, 4.5?
4.5 points.
Favorites.
Yeah.
Nobody's complaining
That
about
is-
San Diego State getting in. But
All right, here's the deal about San Diego State. This is by far their worst team in a while. By far. This is not a good team. I mean, they had one game where they were down to Utah State at home. Might have knocked them out the tournament. They ended on a 10-1 run. They made 0 field goals. Everything was fouls in foul shots. It's great. It's a great tempo battle. We got a bunch of these, including the Tritons in Michigan. That's a size battle, but I mean, you got teams that want to run, and teams that don't. Now, for Robert Morris, they like to run. Okay, that's kind of playing in Alabama's hands, but this is North Carolina wants to run. And San Diego State, they're going to want to grind it and muck it up. But they're just not that good. They're not that good. Here's one for you, the Mountain West Conference. The last 22 games, they were a double-digit seed. 0-22.
Can you get a money line? Can I get a money line bet?
0-22.
Yeah.
4.5 is a very high number for the play-in game. It's a very high number. This thing is usually 1.5, 2, 2.5 at the max. 4.5, North Carolina is getting bet. They're getting bet. And San Diego State, to me, here's to bet against teams playing against each other. So,
yeah, San Diego State was a much harder to me to swallow than North Carolina was. What San Diego State had going for them was a really good non-conference schedule that included a win over Houston. That ended up being the difference.
Boy, that's hard, but that is that is almost impossible right now.
That was way back in November, but
it counts.
It does.
Probably got them in.
It counts. They've got 3 quad 1 wins. It's not like it's an overwhelm. Their net is down in the mid-50s.
San Diego State on Thursday night in the Mountain West Conference against Boise State. Boise State's on the bubble, and they needed a win. And San Diego State got every break. They're up like 10-12, give up a little run before half, and they don't even come close to winning. I mean, lost, I think, by double digits in that game on Thursday night to Boise State. They're just not that good.
No.
They're not,
And we haven't seen anything lately. Not that should matter. All the games count the same. They did lose that game by 10. The best win they've got in the last 6 weeks is a win against New Mexico, who's is a good team, but that's it. The rest
neutral or at home?
It was at home. They won that game by 8. That's the only team that they have beaten since Boise State. They beat Boise State back in the middle of February, I guess, would be a decent win. The rest of these games, there are a lot of wins over the Air Forces and San Jose States and Nevadas of the world.
Matt Humans, who joins us every Thursday, and a friend of mine who, before he was doing, sports gambling radio, his beat writer. He writes for the New York Post and the Las Vegas Review-Journal. He was a beat writer for San Diego State, so he's been to a lot of Mountain West Conference games, and he views the Mountain West Conference this year. And what was it? Not too long ago, they got like 5 or 6 teams in. They got 4 in here. Colorado State got in. He said it's a conference to fade. It's just not a strong conference. Now, don't get in the way of Colorado State. Are they going to maintain this level of play? Not just in the tournament, but in the last end of the regular season. They have just team. And you want to talk about just crush people. It's funny. I don't know if they were a favorite in their last 3 games, the quarters, the semis, and the finals in the Mountain West Conference tournament, but they're favored in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. They haven't won a game by less than 8 in over a month since the last time they lost.
How many games is that? 10?
13.
Oh. 13. Oh. Yeah, and that's a 13-game winning streak?
Hang on, let me make sure. 3,
well, yeah,
6,
if you're saying
7, 8, 9, 10. No, I'm sorry, I missed one. It is 10. It's 10, and it's 14 out of 15. 10 straight and 14 out of 15.
All by at least 8.
The 10 straight are all by at least 8. All by at least 8.
Since 2016,
Sizzling, baby.
The Mountain West 10-23 against the spread in the tournament.
10-23 against the
spread.
spread
Record.
Yeah.
3-31 straight up are double-digit seeds for the Mountain West. So New Mexico is one of those. There's a really tough record for.
Well, all 4 double-digit seeds this year.
So
Yeah.
3-31 all time.
I think they'll get 1, maybe 2. I think the conference that's a fun thing too. The conference over/unders win totals.
Yeah.
I think the SEC is 20.5, so I think theirs is 2.5, and this counts on these. These play-ins do count. So we're live here at Doe's Eat Place, man. Seeing Mr. Scott over here when we come on in. Great stuff over here. And look, we've got some. If you're over here on a Friday and you still want to come by and you have some friends that want to, do the Lenten thing, we got it for you. We got fresh tuna. We do the shrimp. We do a grilled shrimp. A grilled shrimp salad, the fried shrimp or fried oysters. We get oysters with po' boys that we do over here as well. Some great stuff that we have over here, some seafood options. But, of course, our steaks, man, during dinner time are the way to roll. Everybody starts off with the tamales appetizer for the table to share. But, hey, we got a whole different menu for lunch over here, different sandwiches and burgers and chicken sandwiches, grilled, blackened, Nashville hot, spicy that we do with different aiolis, cheeses, toppings, the grilled onions, whatever it is. So you kind of build your own chicken sandwich, burger, or sandwich over here at Doe's as well. Plate lunches, enough for 2 to share, like the meatballs and spaghetti, the chicken fried steak. Charlie, I said it was big as your head. I think it's big as Max's head.
Max's head?
Maybe,
Okay.
no, maybe, you know what? Steinley's head.
Oh, wow. That's big. Man, that's big. Look out, man.
So, anyway, you have seen it, huh?
Seven and 7/8.
It is legit size. It is legit size over here at Doe's Eat Place with the mashed potatoes. Hand-cut fries, man, that come with the burgers and sandwiches are really, really good over here at Doe's Eat Place. So for lunch, a whole different Max, what you get? You get that catfish plate, right?
I've gotten that during Lent. I get the spicy chickens. Probably going to get the Nashville hot today. So
there you go.
All, kind of
all at Doe's Eat Place on Government Street in the heart of Mid-City.
Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Remember, the show is available on demand, LouisianaSports.net, 1045ESPN.com, Handycast on YouTube. Brief break from basketball here for just a second. The day the tournament starts. I've been kind of waiting on this one. I'm just glad somebody finally came out and said it. We've wondered about Aaron Rodgers and the culture fit he would be somewhere like Pittsburgh, who is waiting on an answer, apparently, from him, or Minnesota, who is waiting on an answer from him. Cam Haywood, who I've always liked as a player, stood up today and said, I ain't doing the darkness retreat. I don't need any of that crap. Either you want to be a Steeler or you don't. It's that simple. That's the pitch. You want me to recruit? That's my recruiting pitch. Pittsburgh Steelers. You want to be a part of it? So be it. If you don't, no skin off my back. And DK Metcalf came in right behind him. I'm tired of talking about the quarterback situation. He's been there a week, okay? I'm tired of talking about the quarterback situation. I'd rather have it done. I'm ready to move on in free agency. There's too much going on.
Sometimes it takes people that just don't see through this. It is universal. It is, it's us. But it's a lot of. We call this guy's meeting, and he's trying to create some drama on the way out, having these teams dangle in the wind a little bit, and he's got to provide us with this picture of him, on the beach. Kiss my ass, dude. Everybody's so tired of your act, man.
And it takes somebody like Cam Haywood, who's been in the league for 15 years, to say, hey, you know what? I don't want any part of this. Okay?
But this is
I'm not going around with
No, that's not the Steelers' culture.
No, it's not.
And this is why they can, Mike Tomlin can have some flaws and maybe some game management, clock management, things like that, because the culture, that's he fits right in, and it's those intangibles that you just can't prove, you can't record or numeralize, but man, I've never seen one where everybody sees through this guy's stuff. And everybody is tired of it, man.
Yeah, the only one I can think that
because his stats weren't terrible last year.
No, they were okay. I'm tired of this. The only one that comes close to me is Brett Favre, who did a lot of this similar stuff. No, it wasn't this bad. He didn't do the darkness retreats and all that. He just kept people dangling while he was mowing grass in Mississippi. He would get on his ride lawnmower and they would go. Ed Werder's out there going, Brett Favre is out mowing the grass today.
Well, that's not Favre generating it. It's
correct.
The media. Okay. Now, was he taking his time, and was it one of those summer stories that just wouldn't,
I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out.
Well,
but not to this extent.
No, this guy goes out of his way to try. The McAfee appearances. I mean, can you just go on a beach without publicizing it? Can you go on your darkness retreat without publicizing it? It's just so weak, man. And have you ever? Here's the deal: has there ever been a quarterback, a successful Hall of Fame quarterback, that we hated this much personally? Think about it.
Oh.
Your quarterbacks, okay, it might be a rival team. Or you hate Brady if you're, something like that.
Right.
But if you ever think about it, we love the great quarterbacks. We love them. They're very popular. They get too much credit when they win, okay? But still, if you win, Montana, Staubach, Bradshaw. Forget Bradshaw is the tail end of his broadcast career, whatever. All the. Come on, Charlie.
No, I hated Montana because he beat the hell out of the Saints. Not
because
he was a
you're
bad
rival
guy.
team.
Yeah, I didn't like getting beat that often.
But this guy is.
No, you're right. I can't.
We never. Even like I like Warren Moon, Jim Kelly. We love these guys. This guy's such a turd.
If I were the Steelers, this would be a no-brainer. I'd bring Russell Wilson back before I'd go get Aaron Rodgers.
I told you when he wanted to host Jeopardy. I told you. I hate to go out to, but when you got the answers, of course you look smart. Come on.
If he'd have gotten that job, he'd have retired 2 years ago.
Oh, there's no doubt. He'd
have been done. Cam Hayward. If I didn't have some other stuff already planned for first class today, I would have given it to Cam Hayward.
I love that.
He finally said what everybody else was thinking, which was, fish or cut bait.
That's a guy we're pulling against hard. Hester played against him.
Yeah. When
Dixon played against him.
Yeah.
He was in that Ohio State. He was a star on that Ohio State
He
team.
was a freshman. On that team. He was a
Ironhead's kid.
Freshman starter, yeah.
Ironhead's kid.
And he's been a really, really good player for a long time in the NFL.
How many?
This is his 15th season coming up. He suggested it will
good
probably
for
be
him.
his last, yeah.
Put your first class aside. That guy gets it. Come on, Charlie.
First class, right there.
Cam
Hayward.
K&M Automotive on Segan Lane, the only place. Speaking of first class, my buddy Jason Payne. And when we need work done on our vehicle, we just want an honest deal. We've heard those horror stories of getting rung up for unnecessary work. What? You paid what for what? No, it doesn't have to be that way. Charlie can attest as well. Trying to find a less costly repair option than a replace. But you need to replace. He's not going to let you drive a vehicle unsafely. So go by and check him out. 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday at K&M Automotive on Segan and Perkins across from Ambrosia Bakery. The only place I take my vehicle.
Live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch.
Let the great staff at the Thibodeau store help you out as you get your yard, your garden, your flower beds up to speed here as the spring approaches. First day of spring, March the 20th, later this week. So right now on the website, the 4-step simple program from Scott's to resod your lawn, those are on special right now. Your Shots turf builders are on special right now. Garden hoses, lawn tools, garden tools, wheelbarrows, spreaders, and seeders, potting soil, all on special right now, plus a lot of outdoor equipment at the website, ThibodeauStore.com. A lot of these items are available for delivery, as is their Cajun cookware, especially cookware shipped right to your door. Check it out at ThibodeauStore.com. Also a large selection of grills and the Big Green Egg Cooker for the ultimate cooking experience. On site, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux, where you can also get a lot of fishing gear if you're heading down to the coast. Thibodaux Store. Online, it's Thibodaux Store. Online, it's Thibodaux.
Heading out to Las Las Vegas, deep in the desert, lives one man. One man of many sports bets. The one and only Andy Isco.
Big Andy, it's March Madness time, brother. How you doing, man?
I am doing great. This is one of my favorite times of the year. It's probably one of my, I'd say somewhere's in the top 5 of all the events of the year. It's nice. The unfortunate thing is it goes so quickly. By the time we're talking next Tuesday night, 75% of the field will have been eliminated.
All right, we don't have time to go through all the games, so tell me the matchups, and even if it's not from a betting perspective, that you're really pleased with, you're intrigued with. The biggest thing, first of all, right off the shoot, Andy, is that the odds makers are usually have a difference of opinion of the committee with the seedings. Not this year, only one. Red hot Colorado State, winners of 10 in a row by at least 8 or more. And, man, they rolled through the Mountain West Conference tournament. They're the only lower-seeded team favored over a higher one.
Yeah, and I can understand that. Colorado State's had a really good season. You asked about intriguing matchups. I wouldn't be surprised if the winner of the VCU-BYU game ends up beating most likely Wisconsin in the second round, because I think that those are two very, very good teams that sort of under the radar because of other teams in the conference that have gotten more notoriety. I'm intrigued about tonight's game between San Diego State and North Carolina. I'm leaning towards, I haven't made a play yet, but I am leaning towards San Diego State. You go back and when I look at these tournament matchups, I often go back, and of course it's been several months, but I'd like to see how they've done in the non-conference play as far as the teams they've played and how they've fared against those teams. And San Diego State has a couple of nice neutral court wins so far this year. They defeated Creighton earlier in the year. I think that was in November, and I think they at the end of December they defeated Houston here in Las Vegas. So I think that shows that they are capable of playing against elite or highly seeded teams as far as that goes. And North Carolina, the thing that a lot of people will take a look at, they'll say the line is a little short, and it generally is for North Carolina. We know about their poor record against the quality teams that they've faced. But even going in the Atlantic Coast Conference, this was a down conference this year for the most part. Yeah, Louisville was nice, and Clemson was a nice story, but beyond that, there really wasn't much to get excited about. So even the fact that North Carolina plays in the ACC, it's not the same ACC that we're used to, and that's validated by the lack of bids that they received in the tournament. So I am taking a look at the San Diego State in that matchup. Another one that I've looked at, I like a lot of the numbers from High Point getting against Purdue. I don't expect them to pull the upset, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a close game. I might consider that one for a play in the first half before Purdue wears them down. And that's sometimes you look for. When you look for big underdogs, I try to look for teams that figure to be competitive enough in the first half, but they just don't have enough guys to play the full 40 minutes to go up against more talented, stronger teams. So, they give them a good 20 minutes, and then reality sets in about 8 minutes into the second half. So those are the ones that initially jumped out to me.
Purdue, man, just limping down the stretch. I mean, what is this? 5, 6, 3-6. Coming down the stretch. So I mean, and a lot of them were not really close. So only home wins in that run against UCLA and Rutgers in neutral site in the tournament against USC. But they have been a I don't know, man. It looks like they are in their defense. Man, their defensive metrics are awful this year. What about great matchup, size and the UC San Diego, big market team. I mean, Michigan goes through the Big Ten tournament and wins it, coming from behind in the Maryland and Wisconsin games, to finish it off against some hotter teams like Michigan State and some others. So, but and then UC San Diego, who they turned the ball, man, they're good at turning the ball over. They better before they let those 2 7-footers set up. Now, they did face a 7-footer in the Big West Conference Tournament Final on Saturday night. UC Irvine had a 7-1 guy and really had his way for most of the first half and early into the second half before the Tritons kind of came alive.
Yeah, and in fact, I'm going to just go back to that San Diego State North Carolina game for a moment because I would not be surprised if the winner of that game, whether it be the Aztecs or the Tar Heels, wouldn't be surprised if they survive the first weekend. I think they're capable of beating Mississippi, and again, Iowa State's going to be shorthanded once they get by Lipscomb. So that's one of those. But yeah, I'm looking to play UC San Diego. They do have a lot of really good numbers. Michigan, they still struggle down the stretch, and even their wins in the other than the win over Purdue, they in the tournament, they didn't look all that sharp. They sort of, I mean, they didn't get blown out in the second half like they had at the last 2 weeks of the season, but they could be vulnerable to a San Diego team that a lot of people haven't heard of. In fact, San Diego State, another one of the wins that looks a lot better now, was opening the season against UC San Diego with a win. So that's another game that I look at, and I think one of the more intriguing games is in that same region. It's a 9-8 matchup. Creighton and Louisville figures to be a very entertaining game between two teams that have had really good seasons. I don't know that either of them can knock off Auburn, although, look, the way Auburn has played over the last few weeks, they have to be having some thoughts in their mind, and certainly the opponents have to realize that after the great season they've had, Auburn has been vulnerable. And I was honestly surprised that they still ended up with the number one overall seed.
We can present point counterpoint on seeding, criticizing it or justifying it by the committee, but there's no defending this one. You cannot have the number one overall seed or any number one seed playing in opposing territory. Louisville's playing in Rupp Arena, which is about an hour and 15-minute drive away. It's in Kentucky. I mean, that is a clear advantage. Now, Auburn, they've been traveling with their basketball fans a little bit, more recently, and they will travel here too. But it's just dumb, and it's not deserving. Now, the other thing, as far as Louisville's concerned, they don't deserve an 8 seed. I mean, come on, man. I don't have to give the rankings, but this is the highest ranked team to be 8 seed or lower ever. Yeah, ever. They're a top 10 team in the rankings.
And it's 24 net, too.
They lost. They finished one game out of the ACC championship to Duke. If North Carolina holds on to that lead that last Saturday night of the regular season, they're co-champions. They're one game out of Duke, and Duke's the second overall seed, in Louisville is an 8.
Well, the only thing that Louisville may have going for it is that they do draw Auburn, and given Auburn's recent play, they could be a vulnerable number one seed. But Louisville has to get by Creighton first. But that's terrible. That number one, they made them an 8 seed. Number two, they made them going up against the number one overall seed. If you want to see, I like to avoid playing those 9-8 games. The historical seeding results mean nothing because they're basically the same path through the tournament. But I like taking a look for like 7 seeds to have some good success when they go through their bracket before I would play an 8 or a 9. Obviously, the 8 or the 9 is going to be a bigger underdog, but that one was the most egregious seeding, as well as forcing Louisville to be playing where they're playing, or Creighton playing where they're playing.
A fun matchup in styles as well, and that's always fun to battle tempo. Drake and Missouri. Missouri wants to get up and down, and Drake.
I like Drake.
That Kentucky, Charlie, is that another team that's kind of fading, like Purdue? And it sure looks like maybe those injuries have finally taken its toll on that roster over the course of the season. We know about Willie Wade going against his alma mater in Clemson there. I think McNeese State will be less wide-eyed and be way more competitive this year. Once Gonzaga hit him with something earlier, it was really no type of contest there. Yale's a regular participant here. How about this?
They beat Auburn last year.
Well, I know that, but they played LSU close. They won another game about 7-8 years ago. The last 10 years, Yale had multiple trips to the tournament where they won a game and then being competitive in other games. I think they lost about 5 to LSU that game. There was one game they were blasted in that one, but Yale, and the guy who scored 28 against Auburn last year, he's back 3 years in a row. He shot 40% or better from 3-point range. They have. It's not a typical non-athletic Ivy League roster with the Bulldogs.
No, and I'm considering that one against A&M. Although A&M, I liked them a lot back in early February. Then they fell out of favor with me, and then they sort of started to play better late. But I do like Drake. I think they've got a real good chance at pulling the upset against Missouri, who has been brilliant at home, but they struggled mightily when they got away from Columbia. So Drake is a team. They've got, I think they're one of the two teams, along with Houston, with 25 wins each of the last 5 years, and making a third straight appearance in the tournament. I like what I've seen out of this Drake team, especially defensively, because they can frustrate a team like Missouri.
And now, if the seeds hold, a great battle of tempos in the second round would be St. Mary's in Alabama. I mean, these are. I mean, nobody's faster than Bama, and St. Mary's is nobody's more deliberate and frustrating. And does St. Mary's, Andy, ever lose the battle of tempo? I mean, they are committed. They're disciplined. They're not going to stray away from that half-court tempo.
I do like St. Mary's in that game against Vanderbilt, although Vanderbilt is a better team, I think, than a lot of people realize. But I do like St. Mary's. The most intriguing sub-regional right now is the one in Providence with Arkansas, Kansas, St. John's, and Omaha. You got three coaches who have won championships. I'm going to find out a little bit more about Kansas this week. I'm down on Kansas, and I'll probably end up playing Arkansas in the game. I wish St. John's had a little bit of a better draw, because I do think this team is for real. They have a lot of rebounding ability, which is, of course, a very strong factor that I like. And today is the day that I really analyze all the data that I spent all day yesterday assembling. So I don't have a lot of more definitive opinions, but those were the ones that jumped off the page to me when I first saw them.
All right, Andy, good job. We appreciate it, buddy. We will be back next week to kind of look back at the first round and peek toward the Sweet 16 matchups. Follow Andy on Twitter at VegasAndy711. Good luck to you, Andy, this weekend.
Good luck to guys. It's too bad you're not here in Vegas for the great parties they have.
Yes, indeed. Don't forget our friends over at Total Maintenance. Total Maintenance, again, weather, excellent. Yeah, but this is the time to take advantage of that one-time AC check. It's going to clean that system, make sure it's running efficiently, make sure that your bills are as low as possible. And it's going to lower your monthly bills. It's going to, we'll be able to identify if a part or two is failing, so that will avoid a more costly, more inconvenient break later in the summer months. So before we really stress the units, these are the time to get that one-time AC check. Just $79 if you mention 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Me, Charlie. Normally $179. You're saving $100. It's just $79. Our buddy Lucas Ragusa and a great staff over at Total Maintenance. They have offices in staffs in both New Orleans and Baton Rouge. 480-1000. 480-1000 in Baton Rouge is the number. One of South Louisiana's oldest and largest AC heating companies since 1980. Total Maintenance, 480-1000. We are Total Maintenance.
Live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
AP All-American team is out. Janai Broom and Cooper Flagg, both unanimous selections to the first team. Mark Sears from Alabama, Walter Clayton Jr. from Florida, and Braden Smith from Purdue round out the
Clayton
All-American.
made it. Yeah, first team, wow.
Yep. So the Flagg and Broom were unanimous, the two unanimous first-team picks.
And the guard, Smith from Purdue, you said?
Braden Smith from Purdue. The second team, let's see, P.J. Haggerty from Memphis, Tonga from Wisconsin, J.T. Toppin from Texas Tech, along with Cam Jones from Marquette, and R.J. Luis from St. John's.
Hey, your boy, Tanji, man. 0-9. I don't know what he finished, but it was pretty deep in the game on Sunday against Michigan. Yeah.
It was a tough thing. You were bringing up that match of tempos. I kind of got a chuckle out of it. St. Mary's does end up playing Alabama.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah, with 35, I see the irony in that the greatest disparity in tempo I've ever seen in a college basketball game was in Alabama play Loyola Marymount 35 years ago.
Yeah.
And, just passing up layups because they didn't want to get into tempo, and they forced that shot every 6 seconds, 7 seconds Marymount team to a 60 64-62 win. So now I think it was 62-60, whatever it was. Now it's the other way. Alabama's the heavy tempo.
Well, our team in LSU got caught up in Louisville's pace. We're up 6 at half in Dallas in the Final Four against Louisville, eventual national champion. But we didn't have our legs playing their pace that long, and we just gave up. Just wore down in the second half. Got some other matchups that are really good. That they're going to just roll both teams.
Hour number 2 straight ahead here from Doe's Eat Place, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch, first class.
I want a seat in first class where I was booked and ticketed over a month ago.
Second class.
No man should be subjected to the indignity of being labeled or treated like a second-class citizen.
And no class.
Life had become like school on Sunday. No class. I'll tell you what then. Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
First class, second class, and no class. Brought to you by Supreme Rice. Buy local with Louisiana-based Supreme Rice since 1936.
We welcome you back to Doe's Eat Place on Government Street here in Mid-City. We're in the Crown Town Room, as we are when we come here. Come by and see us for lunch. Got some Lenten options for you here during the season, but great steak, as always, here at Doe's Eat Place. All right, first class. As just about everybody, I'm sure, knows, we lost Miss Sandy Bertman late last week. Passed away, 63 years, married to LSU Skip Bertman. After the game on Friday night, Jay Johnson, who also played briefly for the Jazz, but he made his real name in the NBA with the Seattle Supersonics. Slick Watts, in the early 70s when he was playing for Xavier, they drew national attention, which for an NIA basketball team is not easy. They went on a win streak that spanned basically almost as long as UCLA's at the time. They made the NIA national semifinals, the NIA Final Four twice. They did it in 1972 and again in 1973, and Watts was instrumental in that. Then he didn't get drafted in the NBA, but through his coach, Bob Hopkins, who was a cousin of Bill Russell. Yes, that Bill Russell, who at the time was the coach of the Seattle Supersonics and also the general manager, brought Watts in for a tryout, signed him. And not only did Watts make the Supersonics, but he became a very, very good player for them and a beloved player up in Seattle. He was all NBA defensive first team. He led the league in assists and steals in the same season, which is pretty difficult to do. And Watts later became a school teacher. He was an elementary school teacher for 20 years after his retirement. Every time they do one of these Seattle reunions for the old Supersonics, Watts was always one of the most popular players. Jimmy, you actually got to see him play in person when he was with the Jazz.
Came over from the Sonics, and I also saw him. What year was it? I think Lester Earl was playing for Kansas. Kansas
that
was
would have
playing
been about
Kentucky.
98.
Wally Zerbiak was with Miami, Ohio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
His son was playing for Washington.
Okay.
And he was. I'm almost positive they played Zerbiak in Miami, Ohio, in the first round down in New Orleans, and so he was in the crowd. But no, man, Slick with the ball head and that signature headband, man.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
why they called him Slick, because there were very few ball-headed players at the time. It was the 70s; everybody had long hair, and he was slick in that headband. And he's
they got a lot of long hair players these days, but it's a little different style.
The 70s, man, you had a lot of hair.
Afros. So, but it was a signature look, and he was not everybody looked like it, and he was kind of just a slick handling guard, and but fun, man, but a character too, Charlie.
Well, that's why he was so.
Everybody liked him. Charismatic, man.
Yes, I'm going to say everybody liked him. I'm sure the players who were playing against him maybe didn't, but the crowd. He stayed in the Seattle area. He lived there the rest of his life. He was an elementary school teacher there for over 20 years.
His kid stays in town to go to UW.
And every time they would do one of these reunions, they would, hey, I mean, he's drawing long lines and stuff like that. Passed away at the
popular
age
player
of 70.
But played way longer with Seattle than the Jazz.
Yeah, he only played a one season with the Jazz.
Is that with one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like 76, 77?
78 with
78?
the Jazz.
Okay.
And then he finished up he went a few games with the Rockets, and then he retired the following year. Second class, good with a chance to be great. This may be a bit of a stretch, but try this one on for size. Deion Sanders came up with an idea that I think is interesting. Everybody's trying to modify their spring games. Either, if you're like Matt Rule and you don't want other people to see your guys on TV, you're worried about them transferring. Maybe you're worried about injuries. Steve Sarkisian at Texas is like, man, we've played, 31 games the last 2 years. I'm a little bit worried about wear and tear. And some coaches, Brian Kelly said, hey, we'd just rather get some situational scrimmage work done. We'll let you watch that. Deion came up with an idea. He said, I'd actually like to play a spring game against another team. Okay. I'm not the biggest spring football fan. Spring games, when you got to divide up your own roster, are excruciating to watch because you either got the first team against the second team. It's a mismatch, or you have no continuity. I mean, it's spring anyway. So spring games are generally pretty ragged, but you do want to see the team a little bit. Why not see him against somebody else? He says that not only would he play a team, Syracuse called him up. Fran Brown said, we'll play. We'll go.
Good.
Now, of course, that's against the rules at this point, but it doesn't mean that it can't get the conversation
Who's
started.
making these rules still?
The NCAA. I know. But
this is the only way to save this. I mean, this thing is,
spring games, you and I have been to enough of them. They're awful, okay? They're from a football continuity standpoint, they're just awful.
Charlie, now you the last one I went to, I said, no more.
Yeah,
Done. No, you weren't there.
No, this was a couple years ago. They made you wait around for 2 hours or something.
Over 2 hours to start. Man.
It's a
count me out, man.
It's a football practice, and as I've said a million times about spring, it's not that spring is useless for the team. It's extremely important for the team, extremely important for the coaches. But as a spectator sport, it's lousy for the fans because it's all scripted. The coaches have to see what they got to see, and the public's not really privy to whatever that is. But if they played somebody else, okay?
No, that's it. That's it. Yes.
What if LSU played Southern Miss in a 30-minute, basically spring scrimmage? Well, I might watch that. Or they played Rice, or I'm not saying they would play Texas or
no. Rice doesn't want to get beat up on. You gotta pay a
Southern
little
Miss.
Nah, I think a little. You could do better than that too.
Cincinnati.
What? Damn! Get the ACC SEC Spring Challenge.
Okay. Wake Forest.
I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Virginia,
Okay.
Georgia Tech.
I mean, I don't want to play Clemson necessarily.
Or the AC. I mean, the SEC. Do the one part of the this 8 play in the Big 12, this 8 play in the ACC. And if someone to pass, Duke wants to pass, well, North Carolina, then we go to Florida State, then we go to Miami. And so, I mean, you alternate, back and forth, try and do 8. But this is the only way to salvage this. This is tough watching, man.
And we're football people. We like watching
college football people.
Yeah, we like watching football. And this is it's a really tough thing. So, hey, listen.
There's just so much more out there now, man.
Deion bringing this up puts a little bit of light on it. So, hey, can we have this conversation? Is this something that's possible? And everybody doesn't have to do it. If you're at Missouri,
he's pushing for it.
He said yesterday, he goes, I'd like to play a spring game against another team, and that's what I'm trying to do right now. And Fran Brown from Syracuse, was at Georgia.
That would be a great little matchup.
Said, I will go play you. Now, I don't expect that they'll get this done this year, but if it can get the conversation started, good with a chance to be great. Let's see. And if it stinks, well, we'll put this on the shelf and we'll try something. We know the product that they've got now is so bad and so unwatchable for just a layman fan that I'm willing to try something else. And if that doesn't work, well, we gave it a shot. I mean, it's April, okay? I'm not expecting football in April to be at the highest level. I get a lot of freshmen and,
a lot of high schools don't even do it now.
And
you would have spring football and you would have a spring game.
Yeah,
I mean, or scrimmage.
You could scrimmage against somebody else.
Yes, I mean, it would
recently,
have.
And they do that in May.
Back when I was trying to get, do my recruiting pre-existence of rivals and the specialty recruiting services. I mean, I would get. I mean, that was my big way. Like a meet would go play Denham Springs or something. I mean, it was a big. It was a way to kind of evaluate, in the spring when things are kind of down. No, it'd be, man. They're showing these spring games on, and I get it. You could. It's at least and they're not just on the game itself, but they're talking football, they're talking the program, they're talking about the changes and things like that. I get that. So it's a kind of a talk show while you're showing the game with the kind of a balance between. I get that, but man, to have two teams involved, I think it would be.
Give it a shot, man.
Yes, the players don't want to hit against it, or it's a break from that too.
Right, 15 days of that. No class. We love it when politicians get involved in sports, don't we? It's just wonderful. West Virginia Governor Patrick Morrisey lashed out at the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee saying West Virginia deserved to be in the tournament. He put a sign up on the podium. National Corrupt Athletic Association. This is a miscarriage of justice and robbery at the highest levels. Well, let's take a look at this here for a second. West Virginia finished 19-13 on the season. They had a net of 51. They were 10-10 in their conference, and in their last game, which counts just the same as the other games, they lost in the Big 12 tournament to Colorado, who finished in the Big 12 last. You want to make a case for West Virginia, I'll hear it. They were 10-13 against the top two quadrants. They finished 10-10 in what is a good basketball league, but not the top basketball league. But a miscarriage of justice, a robbery at the highest levels? No, I don't think so. I don't even think they were the biggest snub in the tournament committee. I mean, I think that there were at least one or two other teams that, maybe I could make another case for. But the grandstanding, I can't let it go. I'm sorry. You want to make a case. Don't act like this was Florida State going undefeated and being left out of the football playoff, okay? You finished 19-13. This is not a miscarriage of justice. This is not something you have to hold a press conference for. So real quick, when the politicians get involved in sports, the results are usually pretty bad. I would say Patrick Morrisey, the West Virginia governor, lands in that box, so that is no class.
Guess what? A lot of people kind of respect. A lot of people are applauding him because they think that the North Carolina thing was so bad.
It's two different things, in my opinion, okay? If you want to say North Carolina shouldn't be in and that there is a bias because their athletic director is running the committee, I'll hear that argument all day. And I think it's legit.
The head of the committee has to be from somewhere.
So let him be from Robert Morris or Coppin State or.
What if Robert Morris loses in their tournament final?
Well, Robert,
he's got to be from somewhere.
He's got to be from somewhere.
It's like the media member. Well, Reese Davis is from Alabama. Well, he's got to be from somewhere.
Yeah.
Chris Fowler's got to be from. He had to graduate from somewhere in Colorado.
Plenty of guys up there.
LSU guys aren't biased at all.
Yes, right. He's got to be from somewhere. I get it. Make it from somewhere that's unlikely to be. I mean, North Carolina. Okay. I mean, of all teams, it's one of the most visible basketball programs.
You can't criticize once it happens. You criticize when he's named.
Right.
Okay, you can't be reactionary.
Why do they have to be sitting ADs? Why can't they be recently retired ADs or coaches that are out of work that year? Or, I mean, I can come up with some qualified people that don't have a direct tie to somebody.
Coaches out of it just 1 year don't want to be on the committee.
Okay. Give me a coach that's been out of it 5. What's Huggy Bear doing?
He doesn't want to be dealing with it. Trust me.
Okay.
Can
you find 11 people to get on a committee that do not have a direct tie to a program this year? Give me an hour. I'll come up with a list.
Charlie, there's a chance. The first team out of your mouth was Robert Morris. That could have been a big conversation.
Okay.
I mean, UCSD. I mean, what about them? I mean, they would have been a big one. You just you don't know.
But I'm
I mean, they don't
willing
name
to
it.
play the odds.
They don't name it. A week before. Here's our committee.
Right. I'm willing to take my chances that Robert Morris or Coppin State or Sienna's AD is not going to be.
Who's on the college baseball? Who's the chair of their committee
this year?
No, but regularly. Is it usually an AD from the ACC or the SEC?
Yeah.
Okay, well that's the same crap.
And I've got a problem with that too.
Okay, it's the same thing.
Skip was on the committee.
So you're more interested, you're more committed.
Yeah.
Basketball programs usually going to lean on them for these type of positions.
Yeah,
that's the way it goes.
John Cohen was the committee chair when he was AD.
Let's take Montana State's AD for the baseball committee. Let's take Florida's AD for the hockey committee. Well, it just doesn't. You want guys that are into it a little bit, right?
I do.
Okay. The North Carolina AD is going to be more basketball oriented than most of them, right?
Yeah, and you run the. And he's supposed to leave the room. We all know the rule.
But that's fine. But that's the optics really
they're terrible.
Yeah.
But it has nothing to do with West Virginia. I understand last team in.
Most people think West Virginia was first team out. I've heard odds makers say that.
Okay, and that's right.
Who'd you say? Who you thinking for Indiana or Boise?
Yeah, Ohio State was right there too. You lose 13 games. You go 10-10 in your conference. You lose your last game to the last place team in the league. You've lost the high ground on saying this is a miscarriage of justice and robbery.
No,
he's grandstanding. Okay. You want to make a case for West Virginia? I can make a case for West Virginia. Do I think this is the biggest snub in the history of? No, it's not. It's not that. So let's be reasonable
but there's just some
this.
layers to this. It's not just. It's not your typical no class slam dunk.
Well, the grandstanding part of it was I consider
defending the rim today.
I consider the North Carolina piece a separate piece from what happened to West Virginia. And
he's tied it in.
I know, and I don't.
Okay.
I think he's. I think he's grandstanding without the strongest case.
They did not identify the first team out or the last team out.
It's Indiana, Ohio State.
They identified that.
Yeah,
West Virginia was the first team out.
West Virginia's the first.
The
team
last
out.
team out, you mean?
No, the first team out. Like they were
first
60,
team that missed,
69 or 65, whatever. They were the team that didn't get in. But
chairman,
Indiana and Ohio State were right there, too.
The chairman
I'm just getting it back.
Yeah,
the wordage can be done both ways. But the thing, so he's telling you they were the next team.
The chairman tried to excuse it by saying, "Well, if UAB won," and
so Charlie, he's telling you that the committee told that they were our next team. So, I mean, it does tie in because Carolina's probably the last.
Every year we have this discussion about who's
the
last
I get it. I get it. No. To that. No, this is not. There's been way bigger robberies than West Virginia.
And that's
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
But there's if they told us West Virginia was the next, they were getting it. They were next in line.
You watched them play. You watched Indiana play and Ohio State play. They're all pretty much
they lost their best player.
I get it.
DeVries, no, but that was a big deal. Why their season kind of it tapered off, and he's not coming back. Their criteria, you can say, but they admitted player availability is something. He snuck in there another rest again on me, and I freaking missed. Man, I was pretty good on Friday. Arizona didn't play McMillan and Williams again.
I forgot
out of nowhere.
Forgot.
I lost by like 4 to Arizona.
Forgot about that.
Me too.
Yeah.
I mean, they I'm not saying it's the right thing to, but keep in mind, and in Texas, of course, in Tennessee. So I hit Wisconsin. This is the 5 on Wisconsin winner, Maryland winner, Creighton winner. All pretty comfortable, by the way. Texas plus 9.5, down 9 with 8 seconds. Let him dribble. Go home. Please.
No.
With 8 seconds. No. They put Ziegler on the team.
Your buddy.
And in Texas Tech just takes the second and third leading scorers out. 30 points a game. Huh. You know one thing you won't get robbed on, Charlie?
What's
that? You know and that is when you're trying to get that restaurant-style rice you got to get the parboiled rice
King of the segue, man.
From Supreme Rice.
Yeah.
It is a game changer. It is thick. It's long grain. It's sturdy. It's clean. It is a difference maker, man. You got to try it out. We had one of our listeners say, man, I want to try that parboiled rice. Man, you are right. I'm telling you, it is legit. So it's available at all the local grocery stores where you typically get your Supreme Rice, but this product is my favorite. I love it, man. Great stuff. And you support Louisiana rice farmers that are supporting future Louisiana rice farmers.
Pick it up at your local Rouse's, Walmart's, all your AG food stores. Supreme Rice. For more, you're going out tailgating for baseball or softball, make it with Supreme Rice. And for more information, great recipes, go to supremerice.com. Break it here at Doe's Eat Place live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
And we're brought to you in part by Coastal Capital Advisors, because when it comes to retirement, there are no two situations exactly alike. So Coastal Capital Advisors will tailor a plan for your family's need, no matter what your age or your financial situation. Let them work out a lifetime plan for you, same way that they have done for me. For more information, contact Philip Fontenot and his staff at 337-981-1376. Coastal Capital Advisors online. It's coastalcapitaladv.com. Advisory services provided by New Age Advisors, member FINRA SIPC. Can I tell you I love the fact that we got a great game right out the gate on Thursday, or one of the most anticipated games in Creighton and Louisville.
Oh, man.
I always hate it when they lead off with NCAA tournament, 11 o'clock, tip, and it's 2 versus 15, and it's one of these. It's a 20-point spread or something like that. We criticize them when they do things wrong with the scheduling, like we're not. There's a lot of people pretty bent out of shape that the LSU women's team has to play at 9:15 on Saturday night, and I don't blame them. But they got a really good game right out of the gate. The first one, Creighton and Louisville, one of the ones that were kind of spotlight in the first round. It's intriguing. Louisville's underseed.
Underseeded.
We've obviously got a little bit of knowledge of the Creighton program and what McDermott has done. They
started slow this year. They started slow, and it was against Kansas at home when Kansas was number 1 that kind of got them going, got them the team going, and also Kalkbrenner. Kalkbrenner was moving slow earlier this year. He was he got it going. So in that game, he really did a number on Dickinson. To the where Creighton and McDermott is one of the more respected coaches in there, and this guy at Louisville is doing it in a short period of time as well. At College of Charleston and now at Louisville, one of the biggest turnarounds. How many conference games did they win last year?
One
or two. I think they won like 15 this year.
Louisville, had turned into one of the worst teams in major college basketball.
Well, they're not going to sit around.
No,
I mean they want to win. They've always had one of the top budgets, usually top 5 in all of college basketball, and they'll recover.
They won 3 last year. I'm sorry, 5 games over 2 years under Kenny Payne, and Kelsey has them 18-2. They went from 3 and 17 to
15 game improvement.
Yes, 3 and
what was Missouri's improvement?
18. What did Missouri finish in the league? They were
10-8.
They were 10-8 or 11-7. They were 0-18 last year. So whatever that is.
So Louisville is the biggest improvement.
Yeah. 15 games. Man,
15 conference games.
15 conference games.
But everybody's giving St. John's all the love in the world, right?
Patino's a bigger name than Pat Kelsey, and St. John's is in New York.
Well, this is my point. I mean, they're one of the teams. I give them a chance to win it all. There aren't many. There's about 5, and they're one of them. Creighton is beating them on their home floor in the Garden, and that thing was rocking on Saturday night, midway through the second half. Then they collapsed, but I mean they have had these games, man. So Creighton is a dangerous team. Creighton is certainly no newcomer to this tournament. McDermott is no newcomer to this tournament, both here and Northern Iowa. So it's a great game, yeah, really good game, and it's a tough first round assignment for Creighton. It's a tough first round assignment for both of these teams are capable of more than just your typical 8-9 team.
Absolutely, and if you're not at a sports book, we got a great setup coming up for us at the Beau Rivage. But if you can only watch one game, if you're wherever you sit, you got to watch it. You can start Creighton and Louisville. You can go to McNeese and Clemson for the second game, Arkansas and Kansas for the third game, and UC San Diego and Michigan for the fourth game, which we understand is.
Those are the first 4 games?
No, that's not the first 4 games. Those are four games that are perfectly staggered. You can watch from beginning to end. No, they follow up Creighton and Louisville with, Houston's going to play Edwardsville. Auburn's going to play whoever wins tonight. Montana's going to play Wisconsin. You got some not as great games after that, but the first one's really good.
Here you go again. Guess what? One of those not great games,
not great matchups
is going to be the one that gives us the biggest thrill.
Montana's a 17.5-point dog to Wisconsin. Maybe they play them off their feet. Who knows?
They might.
We see it every year.
Well, Wisconsin's played 4 games in a row, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay? They want to cry about the LSU women. How about this one? They got off the floor at, 5 o'clock Sunday?
Okay, yeah.
They play Thursday.
Yeah.
Any altitude against a team from some altitude. Congratulations.
Yeah, welcome to Denver.
Yeah. So, I mean, they and the time, too?
12:30. 12:30. Yeah, you're right. When you start to look at it
that's a pretty quick turnaround, huh?
Yes.
I mean, that's just foolish. Can't do. Look,
avoidable things.
Those teams that play Sunday, with their 5 of them, you got SEC Big Ten, Atlantic 10, American.
Is Memphis one,
and Ivy. They play on Friday. Those 10 teams play on Friday.
And while you're at
it,
leave the home floors down and don't put these generic floors down. Can I complain about that again?
That's so bad.
They're going to take Big Blue off the floor at Rupp Arena, man.
I know you just
that's
don't.
awful. But you got a chance to have some character in these things.
Do you like the Marlboro Man more in the local ads at Rosenblatt more than the sterility of what you have now? I do.
I liked Rosenblatt better.
But I mean, we knew this game was at the Pit when Valvano was running down the screen. Okay, we knew this thing was at Rupp Arena when Villanova shoots 75% for the game from the floor. We know these games. We knew this game was at Boise.
I was about to say, you remember Shaquille's last game?
Yes.
Was it the red, white, and blue 3-point line at Boise?
But there was another big one at Boise. Was it Tyus Edney?
Against Missouri,
coast to coast against
UCLA. I don't remember.
Against Missouri, and they went all the way to the final. I mean, it just. Come on,
no, you had a little bit of character to it.
You see that big Salt Lake City and that kind of wall and a big red, base in Utah, and this is adding to it. You're not preserving anything.
When you put a basketball floor on the floor at Rupp Arena, damn it ought to be blue. I'm sorry, and I got no allegiance to Kentucky basketball, but that floor ought to be there.
It's
first world problem.
But I don't think the Arkansas-Kansas game is very good, personally. I mean, you got an underachieving team, and Arkansas is lucky to be
more of a storyline game than a great basketball game, probably. Because of the coaches.
The coaches, but
Boogie Flan may play.
No, he's expected to play.
So.
He's expected to play, no doubt about that. Don't forget our friends over at Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. I sure wish I knew about Relief Windows with the original construction of my home, because guess what? In South Louisiana, we have some extreme weather conditions. 100 degrees, 100% humidity, to snow, to algae to mold to humidity. It's just tough, and it wears out these wooden doors. But that's the great thing about, the windows, doors, siding, and shutting. But the great thing about our wood windows is that they are treated. Not just are they treated, but they're built to last. Okay, that's the great thing about it. The wood windows again. The Arlast, the gelled wood windows that combine the beauty of real wood with high-tech energy efficiency, features of all climate zones. And we got an extreme one here in South Louisiana. Arlast wood, gel windows come with a 20-year general warranty and a lifetime limited warranty against rot and termites, providing you years of beauty and minimal maintenance. Give them a call at 230-5652, Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com.
Live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Here at Doe's Eat Place, live at lunch. The NIT starts tonight. The NIT has been an afterthought for a long time. Jimmy, when's the last time the NIT really stroked any interest of?
It never does. If your team is making a run, you might have some schools. I guess last year, Indiana State being snubbed, made it to the finals. I think they lost 2 of 3. Do they play 2 or 3? Am I getting that right?
Yeah, they did.
Sure.
Or was that that might be the CBI. It's the CBI.
The NIT doesn't now.
I'm ashamed to say I don't even know. I guess my point that I wanted to make here real quick is we've got other tournament basketball going on. The Crown Tournament in Las Vegas, which has some NIL dollars tied to it. The NIT has been a relic for years and is, dare I say, on the verge of extinction. When you look at this year's field, has only 4 power conference schools in it. Oklahoma State, Georgia Tech, SMU, and I'm forgetting one. But only 4 of them, Stanford, Oklahoma State, SMU, and Georgia Tech. The bottom 2 teams in the SEC turned you down. I don't know how many other tournament teams or power conference teams turned them down. That number's a little bit elusive, but it had to be some of them. Then you had the embarrassment of inviting a team and having to uninvite a team. You're going up against a tournament that for the NCAA runner-ups, basically, those teams were close, that is paying you to go and do this. And the NCAA tournament is on the verge of, I think we're going to see 78 teams before. I'm not wild about the idea, but I think we're going to see that.
So the new Crown Tournament in Las Vegas, but it starts late. It starts Monday, March 31st.
Yeah.
Tuesday, April 1st, Wednesday, April 2nd. I guess they cleared out the way because it's all in 1 week.
Yeah, and by the time
it's
you
the first,
get to that
second,
point in the NCAA
third,
tournament,
fourth.
Everybody's gone except the Final 4 teams, right?
What's that?
By the time they start their tournament, the whole NCAA tournament is down to 4 teams, right?
What is March 31st?
Yeah,
Charlie?
that's the week before the Final 4.
That's okay. So and then they go on.
You're not going.
They're going to play. Okay. So their semifinals are going to be prelims for the Final 4. They're going to be on Final 4 Saturday.
Oh, they're going to be on the same day, and
yes,
that's
what I'm showing here. It'll be 12:30 and 3:00. So that will be instead of 5:20. So these will start. These will go, and then they're going to play Sunday at 4:30. Their championship. But major conference teams: Big East, Big 12, and then you got some Mountain West. Big East, Big 12, Big 10. Georgetown, Washington State, Nebraska, Arizona State, Boise, George Washington, Utah, Butler, Cincinnati, DePaul, Oregon State, Central Florida, Villanova, Colorado, Tulane, Southern Cal.
What's the future of non-NCAA basketball? This is going to replace the NIT, right? At some point.
This is more compact. It's a little late.
I like that because if the NIT in the first couple of rounds are up against anything that's got NCAA basketball related, I'm going to watch that. I might watch LSU.
Yeah, this dodges it completely.
You get You have a nice appetizer for the Final Four games. At least it's something that's
on ESPN. It's their turn to counter because this is a Fox-driven thing.
Yeah.
The two ESPN leagues are SEC and ACC,
and they tried to get SEC and ACC teams into it. The two SEC teams turned them down. I think they got 3 out of this. I'm talking about the NIT.
No, but
you said
you're jumping around.
Okay,
this is the model to follow. Don't you think this is the model to follow for the SEC and ACC?
Yes.
ACC, and then they could or ESPN to have some, but they have the women aren't playing at that time.
That week, they're down to their Final Four also.
Yeah, they play on Friday, Sunday, right?
Yeah.
They play Friday, Sunday still?
They do.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're providing basketball at a time where, you're still on the tail end of the NCAA tournament. You've got other games.
See if
these NIT games that are up against anything NCAA related, I'm not.
Guess what? They dodged the women's Final Four Friday too. No games Friday.
Yeah. That's what the future is.
You might spend Monday through Sunday. Two teams are going to spend Monday through Sunday in Las Vegas.
They're worse places. Beats going to Dayton.
Class. NIL. Classes.
The players still go to school? When did that happen? I missed
North Carolina was ahead of their time.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Classes that don't
These
exist.
made-up classes were available to the entire student body,
common.
not just the basketball players. Okay, you're good.
This, yes,
That's my favorite.
No, it's offered to everybody. No, this eliminates the NIT.
Can we are we ready to scrub the moralists? Have you seen Patino parade on all the major shows and everything else being just paraded around? Quoted this and that. He's is it just done?
If they play Arkansas in the second round, okay. He and Calipari are going to be on the same court.
St. John's is a Catholic school, right?
Yeah.
A religious school, right?
Those
Have they forgiven his sins?
Yes.
And LSU can't?
In the interest of wins. You're going to see Calipari and Patino next to each other, and they are going to be celebrated like hail the conquering hero, and these are two of the dirtiest players in the game, have been for a long time.
Yes.
Documented. Dirtiest players in the game.
But guess what?
CBS is going to hype this up like this is Bird versus Magic again.
But that's a machine gun versus a pocket knife on the bench, bro. That is a no contester. That is not. That
on the floor too.
That is a win.
At least
but Patino will chew him up and spit him out on the bench.
Yeah.
Look what he put together and got him in there. 6 different schools. 6 different schools.
He's a good coach. Good coach.
Is it bad to set up your recruits with prostitutes? Is that bad?
It's definitely against the rules.
You sure?
We're talking about the rules.
No law.
Is there a rule?
Rules, yes.
Like the Astros.
Maybe the prostitutes were available to the entire student body and not just the.
If the brothel is open to everybody, then it's okay. Is that what we're saying?
I don't know, man. You want to be a moralist in. You want to be a moralist in college basketball? Guess what? You get what you get.
Who was it that had the? Who was it that had the quote years ago? You can either cheat or you can finish last. Those are your choices.
No.
I screwed up the quote.
The man who bit the towel. He used to bite on the towel.
Yeah,
okay. He said, "Not everybody's cheating. They're just finishing 9th and 10th in the league."
Okay.
This was a 10-team conference era. They're just finishing 9th and 10th.
I didn't have the exact quote down, but that was the gist.
Don't forget our friends at Workbox. Workbox can handle all of your movable storage needs, commercial and residential. Even, for just moving residential. These storage units, the home box units, the residential units. Now they're available in 8x8, 8x10, 8x20, 8x40 feet. You can use them for whatever you want, for hunting, for on-site construction, work sites for plumbers or welders, offices, part storage, part office, climate control, shelving, lighting, different materials, whatever you need, whatever you desire. Give my buddy Martin Padiella and Workbox a call at 343-4886, workboxllc.com.
Live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Want to check in with us for lunch here at the Crown Town Room at Doe's Eat Place, Government Street here at Mid-City. But tomorrow we'll be heading to the Beau Rivage, hunkering down here for the next
shows
few
Wednesday,
days.
Thursday, and Friday. Normal time, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Beau Rivage. So I was listening to a show the other night. This guy goes, kind of a relatively new sports gambling host, and he says, you know what? I'm going to go all first half unders for the first games.
Hey, I've heard that before somewhere.
Am I rolling it back again? I'm looking at y'all like I know what I'm doing.
This is 2 years. All right, last year, not profitable.
Probably lost a little bit. Not as much. It would made a decent lick 2 years ago. The year before that, in Natchez, it was profitable. Not as much. 2 years. 2 years ago was more profitable than it was a loser last year. But it was a loser last year.
They adjusting lines on you?
Charlie, I'm going to sit in downtown Covington in the nice air and do my homework.
Okay.
I go where I can think.
You
Charlie.
know those fellas.
I did the yard work yesterday.
Okay. Those
That's
fellas
cool.
in Las Vegas, they're pretty shifty because when they get beat on something, they usually fix it. So if they were getting beat up on those first half, you ain't the only one to think of this.
No. Last year they was adjusted. They were really low.
Yeah,
they were really low. But they're all close, man.
Sure.
How many were coming down to the wire?
Thanks to the folks here at Doe's for being our host tomorrow. We are at the Beau Rivage for the next 3 days. It is time for the tournament. For Max, for Jimmy, Jordan back in the studio, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.